to the front, then it will be quicker. Do you want to do the recap and then I'll do the bringing the groups? Yeah, and it's just these are key points. Yeah. And they've only got.
We can tell.
Hang on, how much time have we got? Let's just check quickly, because that will focus the minds. When is the lunch, Fatima, again?
At 1, but we are here.
1 o'clock, so 20. We've got 8 groups, it's 2 minutes each.
Yeah.
Really, it's 2 minutes each.
One group asked me if they can write down a few things.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, everybody, we're going to get started again.
Yeah. If you can please sit down.
Yeah, for 1 second, and then you'll stand back up.
Yeah. Then we'll ask you to come up and do your 2-minute presentation. But we're also back online on the live stream.
Hey,
and
to
Maddie and me decided to do more kind of a presentation. It's like as a dynamic duo.
Okay, great.
So as a recap for the online audience, everyone's been away to work on a mini workshop, the launch of an audience building initiative.
Yeah, and we're now going to hear back from the groups on key points. So their initiative in 1 sentence, the primary audience that they decided to focus on, thinking about what that audience might want and the key platforms they might want to use to reach them. And then perhaps a couple of key elements in the campaign. And if you had a big disagreement in the group or there's something you couldn't settle on, just maybe, just leave it as a challenge. And we all know it's a work in progress. This isn't, an exam. It's just to kind of exercise our creative minds and for you to get to know each other as well. But I'm really excited to hear back from some of the groups. So we're going to start with this group.
Group 1.
Group
you can
1.
write something down if you like. You can sit down.
Yeah, you can sit down if you prefer. But remember, you have 2 minutes. Let's go.
We'll time you. Don't worry.
Hello, everybody. So our target audience, we were thinking of like 16 to 24-year-olds who are a bit of outcasts. The word weirdos even fell. Maybe that's not the best term to use, but people who are afraid to be in social situations, maybe. And I think the good thing about that is that you use cinema as a tool of socialization. On the other end, I think reversely, if you include youngsters in making your program, as I put up as my case study at the start, it can also work the other way in a commercial sense. Give them the stage to do something, and all their whole network will hopefully come and see what they did. Best way to communicate is the tone of voice would be a kind of an ironic tone of voice. We want to include libraries, comic sections, manga conventions, high schools, students that are centered around the teacher, with a focus on art and history. Describe the initiative in a sentence: bringing outsiders together to enjoy film. You may feel lonely, but you're not alone.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful, right? Yeah, it's 2 sentences, but still. The challenge would be that it's quite a niche group. So where will we find them? For example, in my city, Maastricht, it's quite small. It's 120,000 people. Where are the weirdos? Well, there are weirdos. I know a few, but how can we find them and how can we unite them?
That sounds great. I think you're right to say at the beginning that the definition of weirdo will be one of the challenging point for this campaign, is how authentic can that come from a really good place, so that people feel they're not being, laughed at or. But I think it's a really, really strong idea. It's just delicate, and I think the way to do it will be to really nail down those partnerships and those kind of a small group, like almost like a focus group, so you can play around with words, think about, is it outsiders, is it weirdos, is it, and sort of nail that from a few different perspectives. But it's great, it's really strong.
I also
I like how you focus on a specific subculture by going after manga. I think that's smart because it's a definable group of people.
And I think Julian talked about retention, so getting people in and then making ambassadors of them. That's the key to our idea, I think.
I think it's brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
All right, then we switch to group number 2.
Yeah, group 2. Should we get group 2? And if you don't have to sit down, stand up.
Hi, everybody. Team 2. Sorry, I didn't plan on stealing all of these. Okay, so our primary audience is new citizens, immigrants, refugees, expats. This originated because Ola was talking about trying to reach a Ukrainian group of people, who are new in Poland. Sorry, I only have 2 minutes, right? Okay. And then we all kind of realized we all have groups that we're trying to get in. So yeah, what do new citizens and immigrants, what do they want? Well, they want a sense of community. They want a place for meeting new people. But they also want to relax. So they don't want to see too heavy movies. They want to see easy movies. How do we reach them? We were thinking about activating prominent figures of these groups, so the ambassadors, and try to activate them to bring these people in. We were thinking about doing a +1 thing where you can bring somebody. So either if you're in that specific group, you can bring somebody else for free, because it might be a bit scary to go on your own. But also, so the original inhabitants of the country, we also focus on them. If you know somebody who's in an immigrant group, you can go together. The channels that we want to use are WhatsApp and Discord and Telegram, because these are channels where we can of course announce the programs, but they can also use these spaces to communicate amongst themselves. So in one sentence, it's creating a space for community through film. Not as flashy, but gets it done. Key elements are, well, this is the space where you meet new people. This is where you watch the good new films, dubbed in English. Not dubbed, sorry. Subtitled in English. And we also were thinking about that there's a democratic pick of the film. So every time people can pick out of 3 or 4 movies, and then they can vote, and whichever gets the most votes wins. So then you know that a lot of people want to see it. Challenges. There are, of course, many different new citizens groups, different cultures. Yeah, you have to reach out to a lot of different places and really invest in it. And also, these people are not always permanent residents of your country, so they might leave again after a year or 2 years. So it's hard to maintain retention. That was it.
Thank you. I think the part about your initial thoughts about how to reach these groups are really important. Finding ambassadors, finding an in, working through other people.
Yeah, and I think what you said at the end around the challenge, I think thinking about the language, because immigrants, I'm an immigrant in the UK, it has different resonance for different groups. and some might be less comfortable with it than others. So it's, I think, again, spending a bit of time with some of those different groups. And also, I would say don't make assumption about what they might like or not like, because there's a lot around nostalgia or the difficulties of being an immigrant in a different country that can maybe open up a door for some of the more challenging films that you were kind of staying away from. So I think maybe don't be afraid of going quite hard, but you need to think through, like, will it resonate? But yeah, it's great. And the fact that you're focusing on the social, I think that's one of the issues cinemas have these days, is we still often start with the film and then go, oh, who's going to come, and make a list of all the groups. Whereas your concept is more like community design. You design the community and then you find the films. So I think you're working from that side is really good. Thank you. Group 3.
Okay, so we built a topic ideas based on two. Sorry, I'm going to better like this. Okay, sorry. So we decided to build a bit of a topic ID based on two different problems we had in different cinema. Is how to cross older and younger audience in the same place. So we decided on to call something called Madeleine and Popsicles, which basically means we want to build two groups of peoples based on initiatives like maybe going to youth centers and old or older people centers to create a group for ambassadors. We're gonna train, and the idea would be to to bring these people to choose one movie. The older people are like a new movie from the Warsaw movie offer, and offers the young people to choose a classical movie or repertoire movie, and cross them into a mashup proposition. So basically, the idea is to do a mashup program between two choices. Older audience, new movie, younger audience, old movie, and make a discussion about that. So the idea about communicating about that was to bring first to have like a multiple layers of communication, go for the physical communication into the youth centers and all centers, of course using depending of every cinema, emails, and of course more maybe a social platform to reach also the younger audience. And sorry, because I didn't write the notes, I'm just talking about them. So the key element of the campaign is introducing all movies to younger people and new movies to older people, communicating, reflecting on movies. And so to resume, what is the challenge? Of course, the challenge is to create a communication between two different audiences. That's definitely a problem. And also how to keep the campaign alive. So to be able to keep this initiative viable through times. So how we can manage also to groups to be self-sufficient and be still alive and keeping the flames in each groups. I hope I've been good enough.
Thank you. It is very cool to think about intergenerational discussions on movies. Yeah.
I think it's really great, and there is definitely scope around that intergenerational element, but I think it's to be continued developing this concept, because you need to think about why would those two groups want to come together from a social perspective. So I mean, I could see it working with grandparents and much younger children, for instance, where there's something about grandparents do take kids to the cinema and they're expected to do that. I could see it working less between like teenagers and parents' age, because who would want to be seen in the same space? What's the reason for coming together? I think there's more generosity between grandparents and younger children, and then it's really thinking through that end game. What is it? What's going to be the experience? Because otherwise you're going to have a problem with the communication all the way through if you're not clear about the end game. But you know, I think it's definitely an interesting one to go into. It's just complex. There's a lot of layers and different. I think it just needs a bit more development. But it's a really good start. Yes. If we go to number 4.
Hello everyone. Is this okay? Yeah. Can you hear me normally? Okay. So
Our target audience, may I write here? Definitely. Okay, thank you. One moment. Okay, so 14 to 18-year-old, so high school. And sometimes when we think how to promote the movies, the films for the high schoolers, we have so many ideas. We have amazing movies, but we do not know what to do, what exactly do they want. So what we decided to do is to put a hashtag, get involved. So the idea is to make the movie festival from students for students. So how are we going to do it? Our plan is to give the lead to the students with their mentors to create the logo, the promotion, everything, and the best things that are done will be rewarded with 1 year entry pass to local cinema. Also, as students are creating this, they are more talking about it with their friends, with their families. The idea of the movie festival is like to put it at the end of the school year, so they can start their summer easily and relaxed, and also see with their family what they have done. Also, the idea as a thankful card for the school is also to open this special discount for schools. So we have something, we can create something called, I don't know, Student Wednesday. And the thing is to give tickets for €1 for all the students on every Wednesday when we are playing the movies for young people. So this isn't something modern called let's put it on digital and everything, because people are already spending too much time on digital platforms. We are trying to find a way to make their hours in school much more interesting, doing something that will be useful to any kind of job in their future, and also that they can be proud of one day. So that's it. Thank you.
I mean, I really love the fact that you decided to do something in co-curating with your audience group. I think that's really important, and the fact that it will be led by them. I would just say be careful about deciding on any elements of the campaigns before you involve the group, like the hashtag, or also the offer of 1 year in the cinema is very generous if you have a group of students, and best thing. Okay. So it's just working out some of that so that it's really, really clear and people don't feel let down after they've entered a concept and as a group, because young people will tend to work as a group. And then if one person gets the ownership. So I think it's just thinking of the terms, the T's and C's.
I think it's a great payoff, like giving something very generous like that, because it makes it worth it. I mean, it's like one free ticket is not really worth your time when you're 14. So this is really works for you as something that you can use for, like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but it's just a good idea.
And I think the other thing that I've learned, because we've worked a lot in that way in my cinema, is it's also that some young people that you involved aren't actually very good at reaching other young people, and some are really good at doing it. So it's sort of thinking, where would you find those young people that will actually reach an audience? But yeah, well done. It's great. Thank you.
Next group.
Thank you. Okay, so we started to target kids, and our key sentence would be creating a love for cinema and kids through creative workshops. So when we talked about targeting kids, then usually it's done by targeting them through parents or through teachers, but we want to go straight to them. And how to do that? So instead of writing to teachers and doing campaigns for the parents, we can go to schools ourselves and, I don't know, to hobby schools, to kindergartens, and do an example session. Our idea was to do a workshop, so we show them, like, for example, a short animation, and then they can make their own stop motion. So they get excited by doing it themselves, which is which the key elements would be introducing the kids making films themselves, and also giving them a sense of accomplishment and experiencing some teamwork. So after that, maybe they really like the cinema after our sessions, our workshops. So when they grow up, we have like an audience because they're used to coming to the cinema. And also it's good for the parents because they have a few hours off, and when they come to pick the kids up, they actually see like instant results. They see the short films that the kids made themselves. So it's good for the parents, good for the kids. And we have to reach the parents somehow as well. So when the kids tell them, oh, we had a really cool session at school today, they did an example lesson of like cinema or something, the workshop, then of course the parents Google it, so we have to make like an online campaign for them as well, so we seem trustworthy. Yeah, I think that's kind of it.
That's really playing the long game, targeting young kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the long game. I think it's great starting young. I do think you need to drill down into that last bit that you said, you know, because it's quite an expensive program that you're running. You know, with outreach, you're having to create a high quality workshop. In a school, there's going to be quite a lot of administration as well to go into a school and take over one of the lessons. And then it's kind of like the payoff for you is not quite yet developed. So it's, you know, it's relying on the child going to their parents and saying, I want to come to this other workshop, or I want to go to the cinema. So I think to think about what you leave the kids with, whether it's a piece of print, it's something, or because in the end you need the parents with the kids. You need someone to bring them. So I think you just need to work on that element of it.
Kids love those like rub-on tattoos. So maybe you can create those. And
Yeah,
then
and the
like
parents will have to wash them off.
Yeah, and then they
so
will see it.
there'll be a conversation at some point. Who did that to you? Oh, it's the cinema. Okay.
Thank you.
I've lost track. Number. Yeah, great.
Thank you. So from group 6, we decided that our target group would be young kids, or the ages 16 to 20 approximately. And it's hard to reach that age group, we think. So our goal is to reach them through their teachers. So we would email the schools, different schools, upper secondary schools, and inform them or invite the teachers to come to a screening for free, a film that would be suitable, we think, for youngsters that age. So the teachers would come in and we would inform them about the film and the concept, and also have a good group prize, inviting them back with their students, and maybe give them a few ideas on how to continue working with this thematically, or with a short story, or with a novel, or something else. So sort of serve the teachers a bit. And then they would come back, we hope then, with the student groups, and we would present the film, and we would pitch how we would, for example, have half the price of the film, films on Mondays for students, and we need to think about what films to present then on the Mondays, if Monday is the case, so that they're not like more than 2 hours long, since this age group, or other age groups for that matter as well, have a quite short attention span. And we thought that after, I'm losing track here, but after they come to that screening with the classes, there would be a Kahoot quiz at the end to keep them focused, and also the winner would win 2 tickets and would then have an opportunity to come back with a friend. The initiative in a sentence was a bit difficult, but maybe enjoy the cinema or make it feel like home to you. Challenges would be then to keep them coming after, inviting them with the entire class and coming with the teachers to keep them informed about our films, and also to make it feel less connected to school, because sometimes, you know, when you do something, you read a book for school or you watch a film, sort of spoils it for you for life. But that, or connecting our venue to like a school activity, more like you want to go there and hang out with friends, is the aim. Did I forget about anything, Group 6? No? Yeah, okay, that's about it.
Thanks. I mean, we all try, don't we, to work with schools in some way, and I think it's a good attempt. I would say try to drill down into the communication a bit more. How will you reach those teachers? What kind of communication will you do with them? And then switch it maybe for the young people that are coming, and also really think about the motivation for the teachers to come. You know, maybe it's a social. It's more a social than, you know, the drinks. Teachers like drinks.
But they also like,
Yeah.
in most countries they're also like overstretched. So
Yeah.
I think it's a recognizable problem for everyone. It's hard to reach teachers, to hold on to them, and there's already so many people pulling at them.
Yeah, it could be that you could tie into a meetup they already do. Like they might have a meetup to talk about all their problems and things, and all you offer is a room and some drinks. So it's less involved, and maybe you just show trailers rather than a whole film. And then I think if you want to create something that doesn't feel like a school visit, then it's really think about the experience of those. Because if they come back with a teacher, they're just in a room watching the film, it will feel like school. So I think it's really thinking about what's different. Can they see the projection booth? Can you offer something different? Is there and really I would say in terms of your initiative in a sentence, revisit that and really think about what's the USP. It's the big screen, isn't it? And something about going to visit the cinema outside the school. So I think it's really thinking about that, the physicality of it, and how you can play that up in your campaign. Yeah.
I think we're at group number 7. There. Sorry. Don't trip.
Yeah, I think we're the last group. No?
No, so you're 7. Then yeah.
Sorry.
after this.
Anyway, so we decided to concentrate on older persons, so people who are about 60 years old, and specifically people who might feel lonely and a bit excluded from the society. So we wanted to kind of make the cinema experience accessible to them. What did they want? We collectively decided it's films that are more positive, so comedies, romantic films, films with happy endings. They want them at regular times and days, so they have some consistency in their lives. And we also thought it's important for them to have an added value to the screening, so not just the films, but also discussions, meetings with filmmakers, and so on. How do we communicate with them? We still thought that some traditional forms of communication, such as printed materials, leaflets, programs, are important for them. Then spoken word was a strong feature of our discussion. So communicate through directly with them when they're visiting, but also encourage them to share their positive feedback among them when they revisit with their friends. We also thought it's important to advertise in local newspaper and also through radio channels that are local but also national, so they can encourage their children or so on to visit as well. That's as much. And well, we also decided that it's not as important what the form of the communication is, so not the design and the look of the communication, but what it actually contains, so the information is more important than the presentation. and we really thought it was important to make them accessible at the discounted rate. So they kind of that kind of removes the barrier of price. And so the key elements to our campaign would then be simple design with important information and share it through websites, social media, and specifically Facebook groups, rather than just your social media channels, radio, and also websites that share program in the city. And challenges, so how do we first establish the communication with the target group, and how do we make our spaces accessible but also information accessible in a way that's understandable? How do we program, so the length of the films, whether they need to be subtitled or dubbed or original, or in their original version, and also the genres. So those were the challenges, and in one sentence, I guess we summed it up in the end very quickly, but making the cinema accessible to older persons. So that's it.
Yeah, that's a very current target group you're targeting, because like loneliness is like we're talking about a loneliness crisis, at least in Western Europe, for older people. So culturally relevant, but also so hard to reach because they're lonely, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing you've done really well is thinking about, when you started thinking about your audience, like the regular slots, building that up. And then I think you skipped a little bit in terms of like, what is that experience when they come? If it is about loneliness and it is about meeting maybe some young people from the cinema, but also like other older people, I would focus on that more than filmmakers Q&A, because that's a whole other layer you're bringing into it, and maybe it's not that important. The okay, so maybe less about filmmakers, and which will complicate your offer, especially if you're doing mornings. You know, if you have a filmmaker traveling to the venue, and thinking more about the experience for that group and that community. What is it they want? They might want tea and biscuits and just talk to each other, and or vodka or whatever.
They probably don't want to be called lonely, though. That's also the same with like immigrants.
Yeah.
It's also like the word choice is really important here, if you
Yeah,
want to
but
reach these people and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I'd say also don't, and it's good. I was pleased that you are including some digital communication, because, you know, maybe before COVID, digital literacy was a pleasure reserved to the young, but I think post-COVID, everyone's on it. Everyone's on digital platforms. So do not underestimate how active all the people are on those platforms. But yeah, no, it's a great target group. Maybe do a focus group. One of the things that somebody said in their questionnaire was they'd done surveys and it hasn't been very effective. Sometimes a focus group can be better. If you invite people of a certain group, maybe a mix of people that never come to the cinema, people that go to other cultural centres, and get a bit of a sample and start understanding what it is they want from the space.
Thank you. All right. Group number 8.
So we are a art house. We are a art house cinema, and our audience is between 12 and 15 years old. So basically, the teenagers. And the best way to communicate, of course, we were thinking about the social media: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course the influencers. And we were thinking about how to get them in the cinema. We said that we were thinking about to come along or alone or with friends. This is the goal, actually, and to project once a week an blockbuster movie, and trying in this way to convert the audience through the, I mean, to come and see the facilities and to see the space and to see what we are doing there, and afterwards to continue to come for the at the movies. Of course, we was thinking about you need to share. If you share, you will get a reward. The reward can be whatever we can or whatever is suitable for the cinema. For instance, we were thinking if you bring with you 3 or 4 friends, then you can come and see the movie for free, or a coffee or a snack or whatever. Of course, we were thinking about a discount group and family ticket, because it's very important also to bring the family in the venue. We were the key elements of the campaign. We were thinking to communicate like we are a safe and cool place to gather, to debate, and to be yourself. The challenging is ghost audience and hard to attract the audience from multiplex and digital platforms. And also describe the initiative in a sentence. We have 3, but all 3 of them works individually if you want. So it's come and see the imagination of others, come and see another point of view, and the last one, change the place, change the view.
I could say something.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's very ambitious, trying to go head to head with the multiplexes, teenagers. I think it's something similar to that we do. I think you should think about the expectations that young people come in with when they are coming over to see a Marvel movie in your space. They will expect something else. They could expect something else than what you're offering. So you have to be really clear about what they can expect. Otherwise, you'll create a negative experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple of practical things from my side that I would say, getting a big blockbuster movie, depending on the territory you're in, might be quite difficult for a one-off screening, because they might expect all shows for a long period of time. And also, why not focus on your USB? Maybe it's something that has the potential to cross over, but it's not necessarily a blockbuster. So it might be your Wes Andersons, it might be but it's not like the Marvel movie. Because if you're doing a campaign which says something different, you don't want to missell your brand as well. You don't want to say this is McDonald's, but actually we serve health food, although that's what they do now. But
Was thinking to not be a competitor with the multiplex. So the screening should be during the week, not over the weekend. And of course, I was based on my location, and not only me, and also the colleagues. So being in downtown, and you can get there easily, and it's very close to Starbucks and McDonald's, and could be like, during the weekend, during the week, not over the weekend, because over the weekend I cannot, and it's not my intention also, it's probably not my colleagues' also intentions to be a competitor with the multiplex.
I think I'm less worried about the multiplex, more about what will be the bridge into your style of programming, into your style of space. If you're distinctive, I would focus on distinctive, but it's something to be continued, and you don't have to listen to me as well. Yeah. It's
a safe place and a cool place where you can gather and debate and be yourself. So, because
That's probably one of the really interesting way of saying it. Like you have to make the bridge to the space. So that also means you're not there for all young kids. So it also comes back to very precise targeting of who you're trying to reach. So I think there's a lot of refinement that you can make this into a really cool project. Yes, it's lunchtime. Lunch is over there. Online audience, thank you for watching. We're thinking of you while we do this. And see you guys after lunch.
When does the lunch end? At 2:30?
Yeah, so 2:30 we'll reconvene.
Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. Yeah. And I just wanted to say, I know it's difficult to share in a different language.